Welcome to a quick debt refusion theory. We're going to be discussing the DRT, debt refusion theory is my financial theory which must be implemented. The debt refusion theory integrates in it the monetary integration theory, the MIT, which was successfully implemented in the European Union in the 1990s. The creation of the ECB, the European Central Bank, is of course a creation and an institution which was birthed out of implementing the MIT, the monetary integration theory, which again is integrated in my debt refusion theory, which we must implement ASAP across the North American collective beyond NATO and NORAD NATO sphere, but specifically, first and foremost, simultaneously in Canada and the United States, because both of our countries, respectively, we have what I call, of course, the common manifest destiny, and whence we must of course implement this theory which will enable us to do great things, and it has a counterbalancing value for both the public and the private sphere. And of course again it integrates the MIT monetary integration theory, of course, which you have to keep in mind while I'm going to be discussing the debt refusion theory, that theory is infused in my debt refusion theory. And again, it's an emergency because the public and the private debt burdens, and especially the debt servicing, aka interest, has come to an unsustainable. It has come to an unsustainable level. So that's why we must, of course, implement the debt refusion theory. The debt refusion theory has to be implemented ASAP and integrally in that civilization sphere of which we have, of course, the suffusion of which we have, of course, now to be that we're now discussing. So the debt refusion theory once again integrates the MIT monetary integration theory, is infused or integrated in it thereof in the contingency, of course, where we exist now. So now parallel to this is the financial reality. Myself also am financially stressed. Please, in Montreal, be careful because falling branches during a storm. Yesterday was storm. This morning was a bit stormy, but it's a possibility of branches to fall from different trees. Look at a beautiful, colorful birdhouse. So you just have to be raising some awareness. I'm raising some awareness and concerns to the possibility of falling branches, which exists here. As much as I am grateful for the trees, because it's a big metropolis city where I reside, Montreal, island of the H-A-W-K, my totem bird. But of course, the totem bird which we have, of course, is a hawk, and this is an island because Montreal is an island of 2.5 million people. It's a big metropolis island, but of course that is the island which of course correlates to where we exist now. So the debt refusion theory has to be implemented ASAP. It's actually, we are in an emergency inflection, and I predicted what's happening now geopolitically. I have the proof back in 2019, and you know that. I have to salute my anonymous friend with the support with my AS. I have a quote-unquote, I've come to terms also with it. I have a disability, which is sometimes hidden disability, and of course it is called Asperger's syndrome, also known as high functioning autism or ASD1, that I, like many Aspies, we have this disability, but we also have these special skills and disabilities at the more social skills level, because our brains are different. It's not really visible. Our disabilities are not necessarily visible, but I recommend this book. It's a supportive and practical guide for anyone with Asperger's. So just to be aware of, if you're neurotypical, of that fact and relationship, myself being part of this tiny minority of a population of, because Aspies were less than 1%. So here's the DRT explained. So we're going to take all the public and the private debt, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. I have $10,000 debt to the RBC, so I am financially stressed, and that is my contingent financial stress, confidential financial stress. Beside that, I'm pretty joyous, pretty happy, but I have chocolate at home, so I'm double happy. I have chocolate at home, so I'm double happy. So the DRT, we're going to take all the public-private debt by 10,000 or 10,000 of Canada, United States. Canada first, we're going to add it all up. We're going to convert it into US dollars, and we're going to add it with the US public-private debt. We're going to add it together with the US public-private debt. So thus, we're going to add it all together. And we're going to add it all together, and we're going to create a new central bank by fusing the Bank of Canada by fusing the Bank of Canada and the Federal Reserve into the Imperial Central Bank. We're going to create the UE, U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot UE, the universal exchange unit, the UE, U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot UE. We require a mass public-private partnership. My brother Scorpio, Bill Gates, BlackRock, there's the institution, and Blackstone, and all financial institutions. It could be expanded to include, of course, the Bank of International Settlements. But first, simultaneously in both Canada and the United States, we're going to do a great census. We're going to fuse the RCMP and the FBI into the CPS because they serve the same functions, and we're going to fuse these. We're going to fuse the RCMP and the FBI. We're going to fuse CSIS and CIA. CSIS and CIA function serve the same functions. We're going to fuse them into the Imperial Security Integrated States. We're going to do a census, and we're going to rebuild the bridges. We're going to rebuild the bridges, rebuild the infrastructure, mass finance fitness. So in other words, it will enable us to do great public-private partnership, a mass public-private partnership, a mass PPP. Basically, fundamentally, will be required to implement the debt refusion treaty, which we must implement it. We're close to a financial crash, and now with the resumption of the war in Iran, we might see in a week gas in Canada go above $2, and that already it sucks already because the gas has doubled in the past 7 years and now has increased by about 25 to 45% in Canada due to the Iran war. Of course, it is a problem because most salaries have stagnated. So the stagnation of the salaries in parallel with the growing cost of living, of course, something which has to be totally fully understood. Look at those flowers. Those are gorgeous. Thank you, public workers, who put those flowers there. So I'm just going to go get a little bit actually, I don't need. I was going to go at the water fountain, but I just remembered that I filled the water before, so I'm just going to hydrate. I was going to go the water fountain there, but actually I don't need because I've already filled it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross the street on the other side here, but of course get on the recollection. Actually, I can just go around here, and yeah, you got to watch here for falling branches. See, the branches fall from the sky. That's a big problem. See, there's many branches. That worries me. Some of them, I see them, they're already ready to fall if there's windy. But the debt refusion theory is the solution, right? The debt refusion is the solution. So the debt refusion theory is, of course, the solution, which, of course, we got to implement. So the debt refusion theory, again, is a financial theory. But the financial theory incorporates, as I said, the MIT, the monetary integration theory, which is the financial theory which was successful in its implementation and successful in its implementation in the European Union, because the Europeans, they destroyed their old national central banks and they created the ECB, the European Central Bank, and they put into circulation the euro. Turn your heads left and right before you cross the streets, although that's a one-way in theory, they can come up to there. So they created the euro, right? The ECB is a central bank for many central banks, but we're going to fuse basically the Bank of Canada and the Federal Reserve, although in the North American Collective, as fundamentally Canada and the United States, we have what I call our common manifest destiny. And of course, it could be expanded to include Mexico, Haiti, is part of North America, Haiti, Jamaica, the Dominican Republic, all those countries are part of the, look at this beautiful, wow, isn't this just gorgeous? I love colors and really amazing, really nice. Rock and roll it. I like it. So the DRT, debt refusion theory, we must implement it. It's an emergency. That's a solution, and it will require a mass public-private partnership. Hey, look at that. Love those flowers. You know me, I go crazy for yellow flowers. And the debt refusion theory, we have to implement it. So it's actually an emergency point because even today, not in a year, today the debt levels, the debt servicing, aka the interest, is unsustainable. It sucks from the wealth, and it's Canada. We're not doing so great. We're on the verge of a public and private financial collapse. And the PBO warned a few months ago, at the beginning of the year, what I warned about 3 years ago. And I have the proof. I have proof of my predictions from 2019. I predicted generally what was going to happen. And of course, now is where we have to take this charge and fully implement my Trinity of theories in parallel with the debt refusion theory. So I'm heading home to eat because I already marched for today a few hours and heading to my headquarters with hope. And myself, I'm financially stressed, but I paid my rent, paid my electricity bill, paid my Netflix, paid my internet. So actually Netflix, do I owe my spend $10? I think I do. think I owe her $10. I got to double check in the text, but I might owe her for the Netflix for the month of July because it goes out of her account. So if I make $1 million a bit, I'm going to give her half because she wasn't my friend because of the money. I never, and the support what AS has, and it's not always easy. Part of this tiny minority. But here's from the pain, the suffering, the struggle. For all of us, the debt refusion theory to the rescue. The DRT was a mass PPP project. We have to implement the DRT. Pledge